my little studio, everyone. If this is your first time, my name is Reese. Welcome to my little space. So recently, I don't know if I've all seen this, but I did a sketchbook challenge back in June. Of course, you can go back and watch all those videos, and even the one that I did last year. I did a 3-month sketchbook challenge last year. But because I recently have bought some materials that are new to me, pen, and I thought that with the pens that I got, I would give a shot at trying maybe an urban sketching style, which I'm not really familiar with. I've used outlines, and I do use outlines. I use my micron pens now and then, but I thought I would use some of the pens that I've gotten recently. Now, I cannot verify, I can't remember if they're waterproof. That's the only thing. So I have to test that out. So it'll be kind of like an experimental first time dipping our toes in this type of style. So I'm going to take you along with me on that. And then last week I did do some additional, or last weekend even, I did some additional painting in my sketchbooks. I did a couple of landscapes, and I probably got into more detail than I planned to, but I think I turned the camera on and I was just enjoying. I was listening to a podcast and relaxing and just getting into that creative groove, which is always like our happy place as creative people. So I want to share with you a couple of things that I've done with that, and yeah. So lots more creative fun today, and I hope you enjoy today's video. I'm not sure if this angle is going to work or if the lighting's good enough. I hope it is. But so I thought I would start here. As a side note, if you hear noise, those of you who know my bird Scooby, he's in the other room. It's still daytime, as you can see outside. And he's still making noises. So you might hear a few noises. He might even yell for me. So word of warning. Of course, I can cut some of it out, but it's not always convenient. But anyways, I thought I'd sit here just for a second and I'd show you what I did this past week before I get into my urban sketching style stuff that I'm trying to attempt, or will be attempting today. So I got back into this sketchbook. I don't know if you remember seeing this sketchbook before, but this is a sketchbook that I've been using off and on just to play. It's the exact same sketchbook, or the same brand of sketchbook that I used for my Korea trip. This is the Strathmore sketchbook. That's a soft-bound sketchbook. I don't know what the size is. 5x7 approximately? And it was great for my trip to Korea because A, it's light and it's bendable and soft, although this material gets really scratched up. And so if you care about that, and it can get bent really easily, like my sketchbook for Korea is very bent and scratched up and abused, but loved, and it shows. But this sketchbook's pretty new, and I've just got a few things in here. Stuff when I first started trying to attempt using the walnut ink, the drawing walnut ink that I bought and that I was talking about last week. And by the way, I've done a demo over on Patreon of this just recently, if you're interested in something with more detail on that. And I've got, some leaves that I've done, and just random things that I played with in the past. But this is the sketchbook that I used this past week. These are some old landscapes I did, but they're really detailed. They're super detailed, probably more detailed than I like, and I still tend to do that. But I'm going to plan to do some landscapes on canvas coming up, probably fairly soon, and I'm trying to get into the habit of painting landscapes and then hoping to transfer over to that, and maybe even some acrylic too. But this is it was a combination of a drawing and some black lamp ink watercolor. that I did to just kind of go over it and to depth in my values and stuff in that sketch. But I did love it. And actually this was not in this book to begin with. I'm notorious about pasting stuff into books because, you know, loose papers can get so easily lost. But this is one of the sketchbooks. This is one of the first sketches I did last week. So I have tons of reference photos. If you're anything like me, you do too. And that's what I use. And so often it's really easy for me to just take some of those images and put it on my iPad. And then I can just set it up and just utilize that for drawing on the go. There's Scooby. And I like that method a lot because the way that you can set up the iPad is you can get it to where it doesn't turn off for a very long time, and it's a large enough surface. And I'm not saying you have to have an iPad. He's really hearing me. He wants me to go in there. But you don't have to have an iPad to do this. And yeah, he's driving me crazy. But you don't have to have an iPad to do this method. Of course, you can print something off and put it next to you. I've done that in the past as well. But anyways, that was the very first thing I did. And then for the next thing I did, I actually did something that was quite a lot larger. And it's a two-page spread of this house and barn. So these are some of the reference photos that I took when I was at Chad's Ford up in Pennsylvania a few years ago, right before 2020 hit us like a brick. And but anyways, I have lots of wonderful photos from that time, and of course they're always great to go back and, you know, finally get to use them as a reference. So that's what I did this past week. So actually I had to take a quick break because Scoopy was not going to have it. So I actually had to go and spend some time with him and now get back to it. But now, of course, it's storming outside. And so you might be hearing a little bit of storm noise as we go into this next portion of the video. So getting back to my book, like I said, I just showed you everything that I had been doing this past, but this is just mostly just watercolor, my M-gram watercolors, and a very small portion of gouache, especially when I was trying to get back in here and touching up all these little fine little light branches that were coming across this main tree that was the focal point of this particular watercolor. The sailor pen that I got. I might use something else, one of my other brush type pens or microns or something, because I believe that this is not waterproof, or at least the ink that came in here. Now I can buy waterproof ink that I think it's called Carbon Black. That's what I'll be getting, and getting you know, where you can empty out the nibs and actually put in whatever color you want. I'm not as familiar with doing that, so that's something that's coming. But what's so cool about this pen is that it's got a nib on it. I showed this last week too, but it's got a nib that slightly bends upwards, and that allows you to modify the flow of the ink. And like I said, I'm no expert, but you can see the results of this yourself. So you use it where the flat point is down, and then you use variations of pressure going from flat to the tip to get very fine lines or very thick lines. So, and I've seen a lot of people that are doing urban sketching using these. I mean, this would be even great for, you know, writing letters. If you have family members or a loved one, you know, you want to write to, this would be almost, it almost looks like a, you know, like a quill pen or something. can't talk and write at the same time. But, you know, it's just got that kind of a, you know, feel to it. You know, where you could get something very expressive. Be great for, like, oh my gosh, like if you were going to do invitation cards, like if you were going to do invitation cards for a special dinner, a wedding, or a Christmas party or something. So it's a pretty cool pen, but it's not, like I said, the ink that it came with, it came with 2 cartridges, and they are not waterproof. And I'll show you that. I mean, but it's not that you can't use that. You can't use that with a, I got like a frog in my throat. You can't still use it. You just have to wait for your watercolor to dry. So let me just show you. This will be a bit of fun. Yeah. Coolness in its own right, but definitely not waterproof. So that's why that initial ink, and or what it would look like if you tried to use, if you picked up an ink that was not waterproof and then you try to use watercolors over it, well, that's just not going to work. But let me just say, like, you know, you did some watercolor. And if you have to, you know, if you're in a rush for something, of course it won't help if you're outside. If you're outside doing something, you can go over this later on once it's dry and use the pen that we just did. Or you can use like a pen that is waterproof. So like this Micron pen is waterproof. I'm going to do it various sizes here. And then whatever you put over it, it's not going to go anywhere. See, even though I just put it down, that's how that works. Now, if you want this to be where you're going to do something on top of it, you need to do the watercolor first and the pen afterwards. And if it's waterproof, you don't have to wait. You can do the pen first, then watercolor. Or if it's not waterproof, you have to do the watercolor first, wait for it to dry completely, and then use the pen on top. So let me dry this quickly. I'll be right back. All right, now that that's dry, now let's go back. I always want to pop this thing off, but it's actually screw on. Now I can use my pen right on top. So it's not that you can't use a waterproof, a non-waterproof pen in an urban sketch. It's just got a plan. You have to make plans. Now, of course, if you're going to be outside and you are really doing urban sketching in plein air or any kind of plein air using a pen and ink, you just got to realize what you're doing and realize that either you're going to have to wait on your painting to dry before you go back and use ink that's not waterproof, and then you can draw on top of it, or you can you know, do it later. Go back and you can sketch your pen stuff later. You just got to make plans, you know, or you got to go out of your way to buy yourself a pen that's not going to be bothered when you're using waterproof pen. But you could also even have a second drawing. It's like 2 drawings going at one time. And when you have a wet spot, move it aside and then come back to it. So that's what I would say about doing that. For this quick demo, I'm going to use my Ohuhu book. It's kind of a cheap book that I got off of Amazon, but it's mixed media paper, so we'll see how it does for this quick demo I'm doing. Of grabbed a pair just to have something easy to play with. It's short for this world. It needs to go in a salad probably tomorrow. I love that kiss of salmon right there on the side of it. So pretty. And moving to the back, there's stuff that I've done. I thought, well, let me play in this book a bit. So I thought I'd show you this too. So this is a little frog. Well, it may not look like a frog to you. It's called a frog. It's just like what you use for flowers. They have flower frogs as well, but this is a plastic one that I got off of Amazon. And you just take the little frog, put it in your water, and it's got a little suction cup on the bottom. So now you got something to clean your brushes with. So I've been testing that out. Something kind of new. There's other things. There's coils and things that you can have in your jars, but right now I tend to like not something huge and heavy, and this thing is easy to just kind of move around quickly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do 2 sketches first, just so that I have something to go off of. And I wish this thing was flatter. So I think I'm just going to try to do it over on this side, because it's the lack of it being super flat is a little irritating. But so let me just do a couple of these. Not going to be super accurate here like I would be, but you know, hey, maybe you're just sitting at your kitchen table. You know, this is how you do something really fast, right? You just sketch out the basics of what you see on the table in front of you. Could be your dinner plate, could be anything, could be in a cafe. So I'm going to sketch out a couple of pairs really quick. They're not going to look exactly like, just so you know, I'm not that good. Try to keep it about the same height maybe though. Let's see here. And I don't really care how great they look either. It's just something to play with. Again, if you're wondering why I'm so straight edged, like I've said this before, like when you do trees and stuff, and anytime you start with a figure or any object, straight lines are always a great way to interpret life the best. And then you soften out all those angles. So that's one of my big tips. All right, this thing doesn't have to be perfect. Just using a cheapo pencil here. Probably went too dark with my pencil, but I want you to be able to see everything. Actually, here comes a plane. Of course, let me hit this back. I got too bold with this particular guy. All right, okay. So 2 things here. So let me try. First, I'm going to use my micron pen, and I'm going to sketch it out a little bit here. So you don't even have to use the pencil first if you're brave and you just really don't care about how accurate something looks. Don't even have to do the first sketch at all. Just use your pen to sketch. That's something often that urban sketchers do, and then just hit the color on top of it. All right, and let's see here. So that's the micron, but the micron is consistent because it's just a single nib, but I do have these Tombow brush pen, Fudon Sake. They're Japanese, this brand, and I just thought, well, let me use this to get a little variation on my penmanship here, because it is nice having a little diversity and not having just a single color. All right, so I've got that down first, but then with the other one, because I'm going to use my other pen, this pen, the Sailor pen, I'm going to put down some color first. Go ahead and hit it. It's like I'm not going to be super accurate, so because it's just demo stuff. And then, like I said, you know, if you were working outside, you just let your stuff dry. Of course, I'm not done yet. And actually, I'm going to take that same color and hit my other pen here, so I don't have to worry about those lines. They are not going anywhere. All right, then I want to take a little bit of, make a little purple. I want to indicate some values over here. That's how you do that. So when looking at the color wheel, that's how you know what's opposite of yellow. Of course, like I said, you know, you spend a lot more time getting things right if you cared. If not, you're moving straight into the grand show of things. Now to get salmon, it's a little bit of a cadmium red with a kiss of yellow, and then you get something that's more akin to that color that you want. So there's that. And then I'm gonna hit this guy here too. Like I said, nothing too exact or amazing. And I'm actually going to indicate a little bit of a shade. Let me see. I have to hear the traffic outside today. It is kind of active around here sometimes. And I could do this with a bigger brush. Let's see here. See, that's a mop brush. I don't want a mop brush. I do love filberts. There's something, when this pear is on white, it almost, it's got a pinkish, purplish glow. And usually I know why, but I don't really know why right now, but it's fine. Don't have time to do color theory today. So now let's hit it with some of that salmon. This one's so much stronger. I don't know if you can tell. Actually, let me zoom you in here a little bit more. All right. So I think that we just need more yellow over here. This paper is really soaking up the color quickly. All right. And then let me dry this, and then we'll hit it with the pen. And you can see what that sailor pen does. All right, now my paper is completely dry. So I'm going to go back to this larger pen. And I always recommend that when you do something, especially with a dip pen or any kind of pen, that you always practice your marks someplace else before you dedicate it to what you want. Now this paper is a little like it's curving, so I got a mark I wasn't anticipating there, but if, and the reason why it's curving is because it got wet and it's now undulating slightly. So that's why, what the problem is with doing this afterwards. There you go. But look at the loveliness of that line work with a unique pen that has some variation like that versus, you know, I had to use two pens, and then you can kind of see where I stopped and started with between the micron pen and the brush pen, but you can still get close. But this has got a lovely variety to it, right? And then of course you can go over it with, you know, if you've got some light fast pencils or some other type of a pencil, colored pencil you want to hit it with, we can do that too. And of course, you know, because you are using the permanent ink, then you can still touch stuff up if you so choose. Again, not worrying about anything. So not worrying about whether or not those marks are gonna come or go or move around on you. So that's the benefit of that. So what I thought I'd do really quickly before we kind of starting to wind things up here is I thought I would actually show you my my book that I worked on recently and apply this pen to what I was already doing with the micron. So hold on one second. So for example, in this pump that I did for my sketchbook challenge, I used just a micron to get a couple of details. But I think, you know, the micron's just so thin. And yes, you do want some thinness to your pen work, but so nice to have just a little bit of variety. Kind of gives, you know, this type of work a little bit of oomph. So now it's got a little bit of variation on there. Now that I've thickened that line, a couple of the lines up, I think it makes it more interesting versus just using a really thin pen like a micron. If you are going to use pen in your watercolors, Otherwise, you're just trying to fudge it. You're just trying to make it look like it has a pen variation to it. So anyways, I have added a few extra lines, and I think it caused a little interest to the image itself, made it pop a little bit. Of course, you can choose to add more or less, but I think the variety and the width really makes the image pop a little bit more and add interest to the image, especially if you like the mixture of watercolor and pen and ink. So I think I'm going to explore this a little bit more. I'm going to get some waterproof ink for this pen, and of course you have to get into the habit of knowing how to, or get into the actual changing of the ink and stuff, which I'm not as familiar with. I am familiar with doing that with a reproduction pen, but it was fairly easy, and I'm sure this is too. It's just unfamiliar territory to me, and but I will let you know when I get there. But I'm gonna have fun exploring with this pen a bit, and I did get another pen. If you saw that, I did get this other pen that a lot of people talk a lot about, which I'll put the name here. Let's see, this is the Lamy pen. A lot of people talk about this Lamy pen as being something really wonderful as well, but it's the cartridges are not set just yet, so I haven't got into this. It does feel a lot cheaper than this pen. This pen feels a little more substantial to me. I like the way it feels in my hand, but a lot of people really talk well about this pen. Okay, so I guess I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up right here, guys. If you have come this far in the video with me, leave me a comment down below. Let's just say flower. Let's do flower this week, and that way I know you were here with me and enjoyed the video all the way through. Don't forget, if you haven't checked out my Patreon page, I've got that just started, and we've got a few people over there now, and I'm making content, additional content that I hope that you will enjoy, but we're just getting started, and I'm hoping to do lots more fun creative stuff, even like a studio tour, and even a Zoom call when I eventually have enough people over there hanging out. So it's kind of creating a better, more intimate space for us to be together and chat and share images and stuff, so you can share what you're working on over there. You can join for free. So there's a free membership level, which I throw in a few little freebies here and there. And then I have 2 tiers, pretty simple, really cheap and affordable, just to help me out and just give you something else to enjoy. So check that out if you're interested. Reese Osborne Studios, just like here and my Instagram page, all named the same. But with that, I wish you all a beautiful and creative week ahead, and I'll see you soon. All right, bye.